By the time you say hi, people have already decided if they're going to respect you or not. Most people think that confidence comes from talking, but real presence comes from what you don't do. Here's the truth I learned as an agent. The strongest person in any room isn't the loud one. It's the one who's able to stay calm, steady, and in control. When you walk in, your stance, your eyes, your pace, it all sends a clear signal even before you speak. Get those cues right, and people follow your lead without asking. Now, get them wrong, and you lose respect even before your conversation starts. Today I'm going to show you the body language seekers I use as an agent to command any room. They're simple, they're actionable, and the last one always surprises people. Let's go ahead and begin. In 2021, I did an interview that changed how I thought about power forever. It was an interview with a subject who has extensive experience. This wasn't somebody nervous by being in the room. This was somebody who had been hardened by life. And I'll never forget the moment that I walked in, he did something deliberate. See, as soon as I walked in, I saw that he was spread out, that he was leaning back in his chair, and one arm was wrapped around the chair. So he was trying to take as much physical space as possible, and that's where it hit me. He was trying to own the room even before I sat down. Now, most investigators, they would see this as an act of defiance, and they might try to even match the aggression and to try to physically dominate them back. I saw it differently. My approach was not to react. What I did, I sat down like I'm sitting right now, at a slight angle, relaxed shoulders, and I simply try to ease the tension in the room by simply sitting down and not even paying attention. I simply just waited. 20 seconds went by, complete silence. I stared down at my note, not looking at him, like he wasn't even in the room. As time progressed, that's where the magic started happening. I saw that he started adjusting, that he was shifting, moving ever so slightly, and that was the signal. He was trying to earn my attention. That's when I looked up and I made brief eye contact and I said, all right, let's go ahead and begin. So by the end of the interview, he had given me actionable information that was able to move the case forward. And it wasn't because I overpower him or because I tried to be physically intense. It was because of something that most people miss. Command isn't about being forceful. It's about being still. Here's the truth behind body language and power. Your body is constantly broadcasting signals. Are you confident? Are you nervous? Are you anxious? Research shows that even before you say a single word, the brain forms judgments if you're going to be trustworthy or even competent. That's why I train to control the signals, because I understand the importance. And today, I'm going to be showing you what I learned over the years, and I'm going to break down for you powerful body language techniques that you can use in your workplace, in everyday life, to not only project authority, but to never feel invisible again. All right, let's start with the first one here, which is your posture and how you control space. See, federal agents, we never sit perfectly square or rigid. We sit at a slight angle with our legs positioned comfortably, because sitting perfectly square signals tension, like you're rigid or defensive. Sitting at a slight angle signals comfort, like you own the space, like you've been there before, and like you'll be there again. And when you're comfortable, other people are gonna unconsciously try to mirror that comfort. And when they're comfortable, they're more likely to respect you. Let's play a scenario. Say that you are meeting your boss, and as soon as you walk into that office, what most people do is that they sit perfectly straight with their shoulders square. And now what you're signaling is, I'm nervous, I don't belong here. Instead, what you should do is you should sit at a slight angle, feet shoulder width apart, and you want to lean slightly into your chair like you're listening, but like you're not too eager or desperate. What this is going to signal is that you're an equal participant in the conversation. See, you're taking up the space without being aggressive. You're not trying to dominate. You're signaling that you have the right to be there. Now let's talk about the variable eye contact. So most people think that strong eye contact means that you need to be staring at somebody intensely the entire time. And this is completely wrong. What I use is a variable eye contact. And this is a mix in between what I call the low engagement and the high engagement. So low engagement, think about doing a presentation where you're looking down at your notes. You can be looking down at your presentation. You can be looking around the room. While high engagement is when you have that direct, sustained eye contact. And this is perfectly for emphasizing points or key moments. So this works perfectly well because constant, intense eye contact feels aggressive. But variable eye contact creates something more powerful, which is the scarcity of attention. See, when you're not always giving somebody your full attention, they're going to unconsciously work harder to earn it. And when you do give them your attention, it's going to feel significant. As I mentioned, this is perfect for a meeting or a presentation. See, what most people do is they try to maintain constant eye contact, and it signals that they're trying too hard, or simply worse, they avoid eye contact entirely. and this is going to show insecurity. What you need to do is you need to be doing low engagement and change into high engagement only when you want to emphasize a point. When you want to emphasize a point, you want to shift your attention and make sure that you have direct eye contact, because that's going to feel more personal. That's going to ensure that people are paying attention to what you're saying, and it's going to signal, hey, this one matters, let me pay attention to this one. And if you paid attention there, you're going to see how I shifted my weight and I look directly at you to emphasize the point. Because you need to understand that changing the way you talk and emphasizing certain points, not only by your words, but by your actions, is going to land that point even harder. Now, technique number 3 is something that takes time to truly master, and this is not reacting under pressure. So when something goes wrong, you're accused or you fail at something, most people feel the need to react, and when this happens, they defend points, they explain, they justify, but they get emotional. See, as an agent, I'm trained to do the opposite. If something gets hard, my first instinct is to pause, to breathe, and then to respond. The reason this works is because when you react emotionally, it signals that the situation has control over you versus not reacting to it, and it shows that you have control over the situation. See, when you remain calm while others are emotional, you become the stable point in the room, and people unconsciously, they defer to the calmest person in the crisis. This can be seen many times if your work is publicly criticized. Say that you're in a meeting and your boss is asking you, why are you behind schedule and over budget? What happened? Now, most people feel the need to scramble. Well, actually, we didn't have resources, and people were on vacation, and now your voice is going to get faster, you're going to have higher pitch, your body's going to tense up, you're going to lean forward, you're going to be doing all kinds of things that are going to be signaling one thing, and that is that you're defensive and scrambling. I'm not in control here. Now, what you need to do is the complete opposite. You need to take a step back, you need to take a deep breath, and think what you're going to be saying. What this is going to signal is that you have control of the situation, and it's going to allow you to formulate a more concrete response. And it's going to show that you're not rattled, because while you breathe, you're going to calm your nervous system down. Your shoulders are going to relax. You're going to respond more calmly. And it's going to shift the dynamic from I'm being defensive to I'm collaborating with you to get this problem solved. If you want to learn more about how to control your responses, I made this video just for you. Now let's talk about my favorite technique, which is silence and the power of pausing. Most people are afraid of silence. They feel the need to fill every gap with words. I use it as a silent weapon because I understand that when a difficult question comes my way, I don't need to rush to answer the question. I can pause, sometimes 5-10 seconds, it doesn't matter. I'm formulating my thought and I'm responding in a confident and concrete manner, because silence forces the other person to sit in discomfort, and that discomfort might eventually lead them to reveal more than what they wanted to. This again can be seen in a workplace. When you're asked a tough question, again, most people react emotionally and respond as quickly as they can. But what this is going to signal is that you're unprepared or flustered if you don't truly have a good answer. Now, if you take a pause, like I mentioned previously, you're going to calm yourself down. You're going to allow yourself to actually process the question and be able to respond it in a clear and concise manner. So here, what I recommend is practicing. Practice whenever you're having a conversation with a friend. If they ask you a question, force yourself to wait 5 seconds before responding. It's going to feel like an eternity, but to them, it barely registers. Now let's talk about the last technique here, which a lot of people disregard, and that's the power of walking away. I never beg for cooperation. I constantly talk to people and they're screaming at me as much as we're screaming them. It's not about forcing cooperation. I can simply reframe the interaction. If I'm talking to somebody and I'm not getting anywhere, I'm not going to continue to do the same thing. I simply say, hey, it looks like we're not going to get anywhere today. Let's go ahead and schedule for a different day. And that's it. And I just walk away, because people want what they can have. And when you signal that you don't need their approval, their cooperation, or even their attention, they're going to unconsciously work harder to give it to you. This is very useful in the workplace, because when you're pitching a new idea, instead of explaining yourself and trying to convince people and showing your desperation to be seen and heard, what you need to do is present the idea, and if there's pushback, simply say, it sounds like there's more concerns here that I'm not aware of. This is not a right fit for the team right now, and just stop talking. People are going to feel the need to fill the silence. And what you have done is that you have reframed the dynamic. You're not begging, you're offering something of value, and if they don't want it, you can take it somewhere else. Often, this is when they reconsider. Wait, hold on. Can you tell me a little bit more about? And that's when you have the opportunity to expand upon it, because it's going to show that you have something of value to present but that you're not in need to make it work. The truth behind body language is not about tricks, it's not about hacking your way into respect. It's about believing at the core level that you belong in that room. When you truly believe that you have value, your body is going to naturally reflect it. You don't fidget because you're worried about being judged. You don't need to rush to feel silence. You don't need to chase for approval. You know what you're capable of. You're going to be able to command respect not because you memorize body language tactics, but because you have internalized a single belief, and that is that you will be okay no matter what happens. And when you live from that place, confidence isn't something you perform, it's something you embody. So go ahead and practice these tactics, but more importantly, practice the mindset behind them. You're not auditioning for respect, you already have it. Now act like it.